Good morning, Baldcast. I'm Brandon, and I'm here with my bald brothers.
Hello, my fellow bald crew. My name is Ben, and I personally welcome you to the Baldcast.
Sup, Baldskis? This is Tyler here.
Finally, and most importantly, my name is Wellen, and today's topic is one of extreme importance.
The dictatorship of the proletariat and bourgeois oppression against the proletariat.
What is that? Dude, you gotta stay on topic.
Well, what we're actually talking about is the influence of capitalism on media and the public opinion.
But first, a word from our sponsor. Have you guys ever had an accident while shaving? Well, boy, do we have a product for you. Manscaped is a perfectly designed product meant specifically for shaving those areas that might not meet the light of day that often. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a no-nick safety feature to keep your guys safe while also being waterproof.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I'm going to go buy one right now. Now that my head is as sparkly as ever, let's get into discussion with my first question. What kind of effect do you think media has on you?
I think it honestly depends on what type of media we are going to be talking about. I think technology would be more idealistic today, but I mean, are we talking about propagandic articles or like news articles, you know?
I'm referring to the news media specifically.
Thanks for clarifying, Ben. I do think the news has some effect on me, but I do not revolve around it. I think some people do have like a pull to it, but me, I don't, because it's like, you know, propagandic. It's just like the Trump thing, you know. It's January 13th, I believe that was the day. Anyway.
Yeah, I think you got a good point there. Not to mention news corporations in the U.S., they're trying to make a profit. They're obviously not, trying to get the most reliable information out there. They just want to make a quick buck. Lenin said it best. He said, quote, "For the bourgeoisie, freedom of the press meant freedom for the rich to publish and for capitalists to control the newspapers, a practice which, in all countries, including even the freest, produced a corrupt press," quote.
True. There's so much clickbait everywhere in the world right now. Not even just in major media and huge corporations. You'll see it on a small scale, even in simple YouTube videos. People are constantly lying to gain internet fame, whether it be a false title or an edited thumbnail. It's definitely not going anywhere, but it does need to be addressed on a larger scale.
Great point, guys. Let's move on to the next topic. Do corporations and capitalists have too much power?
Short answer, yes. According to Alois Prinz, a German professor in economics, the wealth of a billionaire and capitalist are increasing, while the wealth among poor people in the middle class is decreasing. Basically saying that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. It's almost impossible for a person working minimum wage 91 hours a week to afford a good 2-bedroom apartment. It's so hard. So how can the average Joe exercise political power if they can barely afford a house?
I agree. From the Quartz, which is an article online, they mention that the market has played some part in the government throughout the 80s. Heck, we even have multi-billion-dollar companies who have access to all of our data at their fingertips in databases.
Great points. Can we also take a minute to talk about lobbying? So lobbying is basically a legal version of bribery. Like an individual or corporation can send money to influence politicians to pass laws that they want. And, since corporations and billionaires have so much more money than your average family, they can just get things passed more easily, despite how unpopular these things may be. For example, there's a lot of big oil companies who just pay government officials to do basically nothing against climate change.
Actually, oil companies do nothing wrong. It's really the people's fault that the earth is dying, so you should buy a Tesla and get over yourself. Just kidding. It's a very good point that needs to be addressed at a global level because one person can never make a difference with things like factories that just put out so much pollution.
Ooh, that's going to ruffle some jimmies. Maybe we should move on to our last topic before we get canceled. What do you guys think about Western propaganda and its influence?
Talking from an American perspective specifically, Western propaganda has a ton of influence over what I think. For example, the U.S. said there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The U.S. population believed them all at the time, which, led to the Iraq War. This was proven to be a lie, and there were no actual WMDs in Iraq. Do you guys have anything to add?
I mean, are we sure that it was a lie, though? Because the FBI's War on Terrorism document clearly states that Iraq had some sort of WMD program that posed a threat to national security. And George W. Bush said on live television that there was nukes in Iraq. So why would our own president and FBI lie to us?
But America has had a bad reputation for lying, though. So why should we trust the government when they have had countless cases of them lying about military operations and such.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, man. I mean, the United States has a history of giving out false or contradictory information to the public. You guys are aware of Operation Mockingbird? Essentially, the U.S. government just paid a ton of journalists to spread false propaganda about the Soviet Union and other socialist states. So you might be thinking, well, surely the U.S. doesn't do that today, right? But no. According to both the Washington Post and an article by Pointer, the U.S. government still actively puts tons and tons of money into paying journalists and other media outlets to spread their kinds of propaganda.
Yeah, I've definitely seen things like this before. I mean, like, you read some articles and you're just like, that can't be true, right? Or you have experiences with what actually happened. You know, if you're working, like, I work in a state job, so I might actually see what happens, but the news will just say something totally different. It's definitely a problem.
All right, guys, let's just wrap this up.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this Bald-tastic podcast. Leave some comments on what we should talk about the next time. And as always, thanks for watching. And thank you, Manscaped, again, for sponsoring the very first episode of the best podcast that touched the earth.